Hello everyone! Today, I'll be explaining Homeanimations Season 1, both in text and in video, so if you want to see more, like and comment. If you want me to post a part 2, so get your popcorn and sit back, relax, and enjoy. This is where it all began. This guy is Heater, and he takes a walk and accidentally bumps into Potank, which results the Potank throwing Heater away, who lands on Heater's assistant who is having a picnic. Heater takes away his hamburger, but the burger was shot by Potank. Heater flees, and the Heater's assistant starts to cry because of this sadly. Heater bumps into a tiger eye, and Heater tells him to fire at Potank, but the shell bounces off of Potank, and the tiger eye gets shot by Potank. A panther eye tank appears, but is destroyed by Potank. Heater runs away to a tiger 2, who fires at the Potank's mouth and spits it out, but the tiger 2 is spared. Heater goes and sees a panzer. Heater orders it to fire, but it ricochets off of the Potank and then proceeds to destroy the Tiger 2 in a single shot. Heater is disappointed and goes to Big Guy, who orders to shoot at Potank, who ricochets again and somehow destroys the moon, which is impossible, but it is considered a cartoon. But, Heater is infuriated and leaves to his base. Heater makes it to the base after glaring at the Potank. Heater sees a blueprint and he tries to reach it but is short like me and jumps up instead. The blueprint is actually a blueprint for a Waffentrager off E100. Heater works all night long like me to construct the Waffentrager. When it is finally made, the Waffentrager is in a tank filled with water, hopefully, and Heater's assistant is kicked to another room with a huge button. Upon hitting the button, Heater triggers an alarm and Heater's brain is put inside of the Waffentrager. Heater recovers and stops the alarm, only to find that Waffentrager has escaped and sees that every other tank in the base is dead after hearing an explosion. Heater then follows Waffentrager out of the base. Waffentrager gets spat on by a red guy who is actually a meme 7 years ago, but was shot down by Waffle. Heater passes by it and runs over it. But shortly after Heater leaves the body, the red guy is somehow still Alice, even though there is a massive hole on his head. Waffentrager encounters a Japanese, Soviet, and a Poland tank. All 3 tanks are cooked by Waffentrager. Afterwards, Waffentrager sees T-95 and ends his life by eating him. Wow! Heater arrives and removes Heater's brain from Waffentrager and puts it back into Heater's body. After a blue moon has passed, Waffle wakes up to a bird pecking his eyes, and Waffle sees what it has done and actually shows regret even though it was actually Heater. Waffle goes back to base and Waffle is released and given its own brain and some cool upgrades that it should have had since before. Waffle goes and fights the Soviets, but Stalin's son or assistant was there and alerts Stalin through those SOS gadgets things. Stalin sends out his army to defeat Waffle, but the Soviets fails to do so as Waffle defeats many of the Soviets and kills KV-6's brother on the front. So the remaining Soviets shoot Waffle and his armor falls off. But as Waffle is about to shoot KV-6, someone shoots Waffle, which kills him, and Stalin is the one who defeated Waffle. Hitler saw Waffle's body and removed the brain. As he gets the brain, Stalin's son sees him and starts to stalk him. However, Stalin's son used the leftover pain left by Heater and used it as a disguise, and made his way to the lower levels of the base using the ventilation shaft and saw Ratte, placing the brain into a new body as Ratte. Ratte swallowed a Chinese tank upon awakening. When he was awakened, he spotted Stalin's son, so he flees using the elevator. Ratte breaks free and roars, which is not tough, bro, anyway. Stalin's son fell from the sky because of Ratte breaking free. As Ratte approaches Stalin's son, he manages to escape from Ratte and hides in a bush. Stalin is alerted about Ratte and sends a minor upgraded KV-6 to counter Ratte. However, KV-6 is unable to do any major damage on Ratte, even after using missiles. Stalin's son is able to make his way to Ratte's head, where he then dislodges the brain from Ratte, depowering him, which disables his ability to move. Heater checks on the monsters he has made and how they did. Heater's plans have failed again, and decides to go back to base and goes to the lower level of the base for the second time and finds a magic book. Heater reads the book and laughs, so as he reads the book, He calls his assistant to come help for the ritual, and Heater now knows that the Soviets have effectively lost. Heater uses the ritual by grabbing a weird Poland tank and uses a UFO to separate them into two tanks. The tank on the right gets mad and leaves the left tank, and the left tank gets hit by Hoder, and that Poland tank used it to summon Leviathan. When Leviathan was summoned, he made Heater sign the Devil's contract. Heater signs the contract, and Leviathan moves to the Soviet base. Stalin's son noticed Leviathan and alerted Stalin. As a result, Stalin sends out a force of Soviets to combat Leviathan, but Leviathan noticed Stalin's son, and Leviathan tries to shoot him but fails to do so, and an explosion happens which leads Stalin's son to be launched to the sky and gets injured. Leviathan goes to Stalin's son and laughs while he tries to fix his gear on his tread, and as he is about to shoot, KV-6 shoots from behind, and Leviathan gets mad. And then the army of Stalin shoots at Leviathan. But they soon realize that Leviathan couldn't take damage cause of his magic. So as a last resort, Stalin uses a red sphere to shoot down a beam down to Leviathan. But as said before, it has no effect to him. During this time, Stalin's son goes to Ratte's wreckage and sees the brain that once controlled Ratte. Stalin's son uses the helmet, then it starts to happen. The previous German genes are replaced with Soviet ones, and Soviet Ratte has been created. Letting out another roar, which is not tough, bro, anyway, Soviet Ratte starts to make everyone know what has happened to him. Both Stalin and Heater are shocked at this new development. Heater observes the battle from afar and is very pleased from the looks of it. But a French guy appears and notices the book in Heater's side pocket. So he decides to try and get it. French guy hides in a bush, and as Hoder goes towards Heater, he noticed a oddly placed bush, and before he gets the chance to check it, Heater orders Hoder get him a binocular, and Hoder does so while glaring at the bush. Taking advantage of the moment, French guy moves and takes the book from Heater without him knowing. However, once Hoder goes back to Heater, he passes by the bush French guy is hiding in, and when he gave the binoculars to Heater, he realizes that the bush is missing and finds French guy moving in the bush. Hoder tries to catch him, but French guy threw the bush away and somehow lands on Hoder, and he bumps into a wall, and as he tries to remove and get French guy, Hoder falls into a pit. French guy looks down at the hole, and somehow the book starts to fly down the hole. So French guy has no choice but to go down and get it. After done so, Hoder tells French guy to not make a noise. French guy does accidentally make a coffin fall down, but Hoder farts, which wakes some zombies up, and a zombified mouse starts to chase French guy and Hoder, but the two shoot at them, and more zombies start to chase from behind, and they use some saw to kill the zombies, and in the scenes, these zombies are the dumbest people in the series, bro. I can't even lie. The two find a room with the book, and as they follow the book, they see two new bodies that can combat Leviathan. So the book transfers the two into the new bodies. The two moves up with the use of a platform and see the damaged Soviet Ratte that can't harm Leviathan at all. Leviathan shot Soviet Ratte in the head, which causes the helmet to be damaged, and as a result he tries to fix and remove the fire in the tank. Stalin's son now finished fixing Soviet Ratte with the help of the arms inside. Once Soviet Ratte did its roar, he noticed the two tanks, French guy and Hoder, starts moving towards Soviet Ratte, and the two go beside each other, and the two fire at Leviathan. And when they fired, a blue mark is shown with flames. Blue lightning appears and Leviathan realizes that he is no longer invincible. Soviet Ratte tries to see if it works, and it did. Soon, all the surviving Soviets of the attack force fire at Leviathan, and Stalin fires the USSR's Death Star at Leviathan, killing him. Heater is shocked, not believing that yet another of his plans have failed. But suddenly, Heater is greeted by a not-so-friendly face from a portal and is granted another book. And it is then revealed that the Leviathan that the Soviets just destroyed had another body ready. A BT-2 tank or Bob starts to stalk Heater as he notices the book he is holding. And as the Tiger, I-Tank notices his boss, he hides his burger after knowing what happened last time. After he passes by, he gets the burger again, but Heater turns back and shoots the burger right through. Have Potank flashbacks right now. and when Bob tries to pass by, he salutes and somehow tricks Tiger Y to salute as well. But he notices immediately and shows him the paper showing that green is bad and gray is good. So Tiger Eye kicks Bob away, and Tiger Eye shoots at him and he runs away, and he noticed two tanks. And why is the one on top so weird? What the heck is going on? Bob captures the oddly armored tank and uses its armor to look like a German. But his armor falls off, so Tiger Eye and Bob starts to fight, and while this happens, he does a loophole and flies and lands on the bridge and gets captured. After he gets captured, he gets put in a jail cell, and Heaters presses a button which does something to Bob and makes him a radio-controlled tank, actually mind-controlled, with its eyes turning red. Bob is ordered to get into Soviet Ratte and destroy the two magic tanks. So Bob heads out, and we see Heater teasing Tiger 1, which makes him tear up. Bob sees Stalin's son being handed a medal by his father for his contribution for the destruction of Leviathan. Bob is able to sneak into Soviet Ratte undetected and uses the brain. Sadly, the two tanks are destroyed by Soviet Ratte, but one of them managed to fire a single shell that disables Soviet Ratte. In response, Stalin takes away Stalin's son's medal. After the medal of Stalin's son was taken, he notices another German tank getting into the Soviet Ratte, so Stalin's son chases after him, and he notices the German tank inside and tries to shoot him, but misses. And as Jim enters, the door locks, and Stalin's son tries to break the door open and succeeds and hits the wall, which knocked him unconscious for a few seconds. And they both get mad, and Stalin's son chases Jim, and he notices a bigger guy, a massive artillery cannon, and Stalin's son runs away because of this. Stalin is asleep at this time, and his son tries to wake him up, but fails to wake him up before throwing a rock, and Stalin finally wakes up, and he was shocked at the sight of bigger guy, so as a result, he uses the USSR Death Star at him to destroy it, but somehow bigger guy one-shotted at it, and it destroyed in space, leading the Death Star down to the ground and wrecking the Soviet base. The wreckage of the Death Star damages Stalin badly, and as Stalin's son walks away from base, a massive explosion happens behind him, and debris fall from the sky on him, but he dodges all of it. And Heater notices Stalin's son going inside Soviet Ratte, so Heater orders bigger guy to shoot at Soviet Ratte, and bigger guy shoots at it, which causes Soviet Ratte to be destroyed in on shot, which causes Stalin's son to be launched into the air. He fixes his tread before he runs back to the Soviet base. Meanwhile, Hoder and French guy wakes up, only to see the zombie guy chasing him again. The two shoot, but their shells cannot compete with the armor of the zombie, so they both start running away. Stalin's son arrives in the base only to see Stalin giving his son back his medal and orders him to descend to the lower levels. Stalin seemingly dies from his injuries. After Stalin's death, Stalin's son scans his tank to descend down. Hoder hides behind some coffins, while French guy is left running away from the zombie. Hoder shortly leaves French guy. French guy runs into a door with a red star on it and starts knocking on one side of the door. French guy appears after Stalin's son opens the door, and he sees the zombie. Stalin's son hurriedly closes the door and opens the door to Robo-Stalin 1.0. During this time, the mouse begins to break down the door. So Stalin's son and French guy run into the other room with Robo-Stalin inside. When Robo-Stalin 1.0 is awakened, he sees the zombie and immediately kills that zombie, saving French guy and Stalin's son. Robo-Stalin ascends and moves towards the bigger guy. Heater noticed Robo-Stalin and immediately tells Big UR guy to shoot at it. Bigger guy shoots at Robo-Stalin, but it activates a force field which deflects all damage, and Robo-Stalin shows no sign of damage. Heater is shocked upon seeing this, and Heater tells bigger guy to shoot, but he says he doesn't have ammo. And in this scene, the ammo reloading is faster than a snail. Interesting. So Heater has no choice but to activate the alarms. The German base's alarm starts to ring the entire base. Everyone wakes up except for a German tank sleeping. The German tank on the right tells the one sleeping to wake up, but it goes back to sleep after saying 5 more minutes. Bro, what? Hitler's army advances toward Robo-Stalin and tries to defeat it. However, many of them are defeated, and Robo-Stalin 1.0 uses his sickle, shield, force field, and gun to the point where no German could hope to stop him. However, the sky goes dark, and this could only mean one thing. Leviathan arrives, shocking Hitler. Robo-Stalin starts to fire at Leviathan but has no effect, so Robo-Stalin uses a laser to cut through him but also has no effect, so Leviathan is again invincible from all damage. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, French guy and Stalin's son heads back to base, but the elevator shaft is broken, so they have no choice but to go through the tunnel where the zombies are. Bob wakes up inside the ruined Ratte and is shocked and scared by what he had done. He went out of the tank and sees the battle with Robo-Stalin and Leviathan. While this happens, he spots a golden shell that was once used to destroy Leviathan. While he gets it, Robo-Stalin gets heavily damaged, losing its main cannon and left arm with the shield. Bob goes inside the tank and loads it into Ratte's back turret and fires, hitting Leviathan. Leviathan is stunned upon seeing this. As a result, Robo-Stalin pulls him to ensure mutually assured destruction as Bigger Guy fires at both of them, seemingly destroying both of them.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hitler sees this and shows relief after seeing no movement in the area that was exploded. However, this moment of relief ends as he sees Robo-Stalin moving. Though heavily destroyed, Robo-Stalin used Leviathan as a shield, shrugging off his remains and advancing towards the big and Bigger Guy. Hitler orders Bigger Guy to fire, but the scene plays again. Reloading is slower than a snail, so Big Guy or Karl fires instead. Robo-Stalin slices the shell in two and throws his sickle towards Karl and removes its turret, narrowly avoiding Hitler's head and attaching it to himself with 100% compatibility to replace his missing turret. Now, more desperate than ever, Hitler orders Bigger Guy to fire, but the shell is still too far away and Hitler flees. Bigger Guy then moves backwards to make it so that he can load the shell in. Meanwhile, in the dungeon, Hoder enters a portal to flee Stalin's son and French guy. Hoder jumps in the portal and gets teleported with Hitler, while the two goes into the portal and passes by a Minecraft world, and then both teleports beside Hoder. Bigger Guy fires at Robo-Stalin, and knowing that there is no way it can survive, Robo-Stalin fires his Karl turret at Bigger Guy. Robo-Stalin explodes first, then Bigger Guy explodes second. The three see this and is shocked, and Hoder pulls out a white flag indicating his surrender. While Hitler is on his depression arc, he goes into the rocket below and heads to the moon, to put it simply. The German general, defeated, enters a rocket bound for the moon and lands. Season 1 ends here. Thanks for watching, and I hope you liked it. If you want to see more, comment and subscribe and like.